Before we go any further, we need to talk about what an encoding is. An encoding is a mapping from a variable to a visual element or attribute. This is nothing new. In Data 8, one of the most frequent encodings that we saw was length. As you can see here in this visualization of the number of cartons we have of a bunch of different flavors of ice cream, the length of these bars are encoding the number of cartons. Length typically encodes a numerical quantity. This slide describes the process of going from a set of data to a visualization. What we first do is for each of our pieces of data, one of which is called datum, we choose a marking for that piece of data. In this case, we're creating this rug plot over here on the right, so the marking for each piece of data is a single line. What we then do is encode all of the quantities we want to visualize into some visual attribute. In this case, all of our markings look the same, they're just at different positions on the y-axis. And so our encodings are positions on the y-axis. So we're going from these numbers to these positions on the y-axis, and putting those two steps together gives us our rug plot on the right. If we instead change our marking to be circles instead of lines, we get this, which somewhat resembles a one-dimensional scatter plot of this age data that we have. If we instead have data with multiple variables, so in this case age and fair, our encoding now isn't to just a single position on the y-axis, rather it's to a position in the xy plane. And over here we have the scatter plot that we saw earlier. A question I have for you is, how many variables are we encoding here? What I want you to do is pause the video and think about the answer to that question. How many variables are we encoding? The answer to that is 4. You can see each of our markings has 4 attributes. It has an x position, so where it is on this axis. It has a y position, so where it is on this axis. It has a color. We see several different colors here. And it has a size. Each of these markings is of a different size, and so that size also is encoding something. So we have 4 variables that are being encoded using this visualization. I want to end on a cautionary tale. Not all encoding channels are exchangeable. So this is quite an extreme example, but it's something to watch out for. The problem with this visualization is that it's using length to encode not a numerical quantity, but rather a categorical variable. Position on the x-axis here isn't some number, rather it's the country that the car on the y-axis's manufacturer is from. And so the way this is set up, it implies that Saab and Volvo are bigger in some way than, French or German or Japanese or American cars, but really, there's no numerical quantity in this visualization at all. This encoding is misleading, and this is something that you need to watch out for.